Hello everyone, my name is Ibrahim Bizamalam Baba from Achievers Bridge International Organization. Today we are going to speak about time management. So we are going to look at time management in the following outlines so that we can be able to understand deeply what it means by time management. So the outlines we are going to look at goes as follows. First of all, know what you want. That's the first outlined point we are going to look at. Then the second one is list what you want according to their strength of priority. The third one is look at the time you have and figure out the feasibility of what you want to achieve. Then the fourth point is have time to think over and over again about your priorities. Then the fifth one, patience and success. The sixth one, discipline. And then the last one is relax. Now, looking at the first one, know what you want. The first and foremost thing I will want to clarify about time management is you can't be talking about time management if you don't really know what you want to achieve, what you want to gain, or the height you want to reach. Because that's the most important thing first of all. What do I want to manage my time for? Because you can't be talking of time management without having clarity about what you want to achieve. No matter how excellent you are at managing time, if you are not clear with what you want to achieve, you will still end up wasting your time with no result. What do I mean by that? Please bear with me. I like using illustrations a lot as it makes it more easier to communicate. So let's assume Mr. Logat loves gisting with friends, watching movies and traveling. Mr. Logat decided to plan his time such that every morning from 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. he will be gisting with his friends. Then from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. he will be having his lunch. Then from which 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. he will be traveling across the community to visit nice places. After which from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. he will be watching movies. And that's how his day will end up until the next morning when his routine plan continues. Mr. Logat is so much disciplined that he does not miss timing of all his plans. Now, the question is, can we now say from this story now narrated, can we now say Mr. Logat is good at managing his time? Now, let's now analyze Mr. Logat's activities. What value will routine town visit and traveling add to Mr. Logat's future or maybe his career? And what will movies add to Mr. Logat and his future? What will gisting with friends add to Mr. Logat? By the time we add up the total values and benefits that Mr. Logat will get, comparing it with the time spent on such activities, that is when we can be able to answer whether Mr. Logat managed his time very well or not. The point I'm trying to make here is that time management starts with the kind of thing you do. It is only when you do something that can add value to your future that the quality of time you give it will count. And such, one need to first of all, choose what will be of benefit and value to him before talking about time management. There are many things that can add value to someone if invested well in it. Let's say, for example, music, which ranges from singing, dancing, playing of instrument, carpentry, school, forex trading, welding, mechanic work, and other entrepreneurial activities like starting up a business and many more things that can add value to one's life and future. Each of these things listed differs in the extent of value they add. We will discuss more on value reward systems in subsequent webinars where we will get to expand more on them. Therefore, the first step into time management is to decide wisely the activities on which you will spend your time on. Time is very important such that you need to plan it as much as possible. Then coming to the second point, that's the second point on the outline. List what you want to achieve according to their strength of priority. What do I mean by this? Okay, let me give us a little story of what I did few years back as regarding to this. Maybe it can make it more easier to understand what I mean by this. There was a time I sat down to think of what I will want to learn with the little extra time I had then in school. Then things started flowing through my mind. Among the options I had was learning how to play guitar, learning how to play snooker game, learning how to do tailoring, and learning how to skate on all these shoes that has rolling tires beneath. After I had all this listed in my head, I had to start arranging them according to their order of priority. I had to employ a criteria for arranging them in order of decreasing priorities. And the criteria I used was that the one with the possibility of earning me money in the nearby future was to have the highest priority, and the one with the least possibility of giving me money will have the least priority. Now, according to my arrangement, learning tailoring had the highest priority, followed by guitar, then skating, and snooker was the least on my priority. The reason I had to arrange them to their order of priority was because with the little extra time I had, it wasn't possible for me to start learning all of them. So I decided to go with guitar and tailoring. The point I want us to get here is that if you have many things you want to achieve, the first thing you need to do is that you should ask yourself, why do I want to achieve these things? The answer you will get from that question will now be your criteria for arranging the list of things you have in mind according to their priorities. Then from there, you choose out the ones you will be able to achieve according to how important they are to you, which can be based on which of them can answer the question why. Now, coming to the third point, which is look at the time you have and figure out the feasibility of what you want to achieve. There are many ways to go by this. One of the ways I employed in the little story I narrated above from the list of things I had arranged according to their importance was I had to choose only 2 out of them. Why did I do that? The simple reason is that I looked at the time I had and see if it would be enough for me to learn all of them. But from my analysis, it wasn't going to be possible for me to learn everything. So I had to choose only 2 out of them. I started with learning guitar, even though it wasn't the first on my priority list, but because it was more readily possible at that moment than tailoring. Owing to the fact that to get a guitar was easier, and then to get a tutor also was more easier and accessible, unlike tailoring, which I had to start a little bit late after I've started learning guitar. But please never make a mistake of trying to learn too many things that are beyond your capabilities. As it is said, Jack of all trades, master of none. And at the same time, don't allow this statement make you sit down and focus only on one thing if you have the capability of achieving more than one thing. Because personally, I can testify to you that I'm a living example of a person that does not only focus on one thing, while I bear in my mind my career and then the progress of the things I do. And only me understand the benefits and the advantages I get from such. In a nutshell, it is advisable that you think and decide properly for anything you are planning to get into. If possible, seek advice. It helps a lot because I'm telling you all these things out of experience. Then the next point is have time to think over and over again about your priorities. Many a times I do make critical decisions, and I'm a kind of a person that like getting prepared early for anything I plan on doing. Sometimes I have an opportunity of weeks or even months to rethink over any decision I make before the execution date comes. I discovered many a times that my initial plan ended up being nothing less than 50% different from what it looked like at the point of execution. Not only different, but far more better. That's to that same extent than the initial plan. This is the point. Always have time to think over and over again about any plan and decision you are making, because the more you think about something, the more understanding you have about it, and the more improvement you will also get. In fact, let me give us an example of such. Achievers Bridge at the beginning was not as good as it is now. It was just a form of a meeting by the team members on how to help out people in our immediate environment academically. But as we are able to reach out people on individual basis, more and more challenges were being brought to our table, and we kept on thinking over and over on how to improve our services to the entire human race, even though things were not as easy as it is right now. I discovered that the more we sat as a team, to review the things that we had on ground, many ideas kept on coming in, and the better improvement we got. If not for the regular time we give to thinking as a team, we might not have had this opportunity to have these messages and webinars to be listening to all these great principles of life. And as at the present, the rate at which we think is by far more than the way we used to. And the speed at which Achievers Bridge develop is beyond my comprehension, sincerely, such that it is giving birth to a lot of service and branches, and all with the aim of creating better standard for developing the team, and at the same time for building up people to be their better versions. And very soon, Achievers Bridge will have a platform where audience will just log in and follow up the webinar live happening. And we will have less of such unnecessary challenges that we have due to network problem or the rest. And also many other packages will come as the team will always think on how to improve the platforms at which we will reach out to people and help out people in various dimensions of life. So that's the advantage that comes with thinking about plans. Take note of this. No matter how educated you are and no matter how old you are, there's always an extra space left ahead for you to improve and move further. Because there's no single person that can boldly say, I have reached my peak of achievement, and therefore don't need to think or maybe improve again. No. The moment you begin to have such mentality that you have already reached the peak, that is the beginning of your downfall from your current stage. Life has no stagnant stage. You either appreciate or depreciate. That's the truth about it. So in a nutshell, always have time to think and rethink about any decision and plan that you have on ground, because it saves your time if your plan is set out perfectly. The truth is that if it takes you 10 minutes or let's say 10 days, for example, to act on your plan, it may take you 5 days or even sit down and rethink again. It may improve the plans such that 3 days can be able to make you to finish executing that plan. Therefore, never rush into action thinking it's a better way of maximizing your time. No, but rather taking good time to adjust and readjust your plans will actually save you from a lot of mistakes that may cost you more either financially or time-wise if better plans are being generated. So it's better to have a good plan, sit down and rethink about your plans and have it set out perfectly before going into execution. Then you'll be able to save enough time and be able to maximize your time perfectly. Now the next point is patience and success. This is what kills most people when it comes to bridging the gap between starting point and the end point of anything they want to achieve. Most people, especially on this side of our world, don't want to give attention to the coordinative function of time and process in achieving what they want. A lot of people are in a haste that they pay no attention to many important things that has potential to turn their lives around. Don't misunderstand me. I don't mean you should stay reluctant and take longer than enough time to achieve what you have in your dreams. But there is always a huge reward that comes with taking every important step that is needed for you to be where you want to be, irrespective of the time it will take you, take from you, as far as you are up and serious with what you need to do. Time management is not just a way of rushing plenty things and then end up the days or maybe the weeks and you have nothing excellent to present. Our program manager here at Achievers Bridge will say, the world is looking for the best among the best. What I understand from this statement is that if you gather many things and you can't give the best in one of them, then I advise you sit down and look at your plans again, because the truth is that no one gets rewarded for doing an ordinary thing that any other person can ordinarily do. Whatever you want to achieve, be focused on it and work diligently towards it, as that is one of the best elements of time management, proving to be far more effective than trying to rush haphazardly and then end up having nothing achieved to a professional or maybe to an excellent level. This applies to all things. In fact, one of our audience had to chat me up after our last webinar that had held on 29th of December 2019. He said he was initially about to withdraw himself from the webinar when we were just few minutes into the webinar, because he was in a haste to just hear what was going to be told and then just go his way. But something just rang in his mind and he decided to stay back and follow the webinar. After which he had to regret why he ever made an initial plan of missing the webinar from the first place. Even though he was good enough with his decision to have stayed back. So he was trying to express how much impact it had on him and how much he's going to utilize what he had, and was already waiting for the next webinar to come up so he can attend. So in conclusion, to the concept of patience and success, always give time to what is necessary, because patience and success does not move in the same impatience, like success and impatience does not move in the same team. Rather, success go hand in hand with patience, because you may come across of things that may be challenging and that may take a little bit longer of the time you planned. But if you have that patience to follow it up, to make it as in to be able to achieve that thing as it's supposed to be, then success will surely come your way. Then the next point on our outline is discipline. Discipline in this context, according to English Dictionary, simply means a controlled behavior. This is a way of adhering to the rules one sets for himself. Okay? For one to be very successful, he needs to discipline himself to follow genuine principles guarding what they want to obtain. One may want to ask, what do I mean by this? If you want to pass exam, for example, now as a student, you need to discipline yourself to read for a reasonable length of time while you avoid all possible distractions. If you want to be successful as an entrepreneur, you need to discipline yourself by adhering to your financial budgeting plan, customer management strategies, and what have you. We should not worry about this. We will talk more on them when we come to the webinars that we will hold on entrepreneurial activities in different volumes and episodes in our upcoming webinars before the year ends. Discipline is where the real time management comes in after having understood the previous points described in the previous outlines. In this case, after having decided on the things you will want to achieve and the time allocated to each of them, you will then need to break them down into smaller targets that can be achieved little by little on a daily basis. See, for this to go smooth, one needs to discipline himself in order to carry out all the things that are planned within the specified time range. Because this is one of the principles I employed when I started learning guitar. My ultimate goal was to be able to play guitar to a professional level. But first of all, I had to narrow them down to little by little, to little parts that I can learn day after day and keep on adding it up. So that for that, I had to decide to divide them into stages. So I decided to give 1 hour to my guitar every blessed day. Then I started by training my fingers on how to strum the guitar strings. I went on with that for days. After that, I now added my left hand training to hold on to key positions while I strum with my right hands. I continued like that for days to get my fingers get used to it to some extent. Then from there, I started expanding to play different key inversions. And then that's how I continued to add new skills little by little, day after day, while I studied the theoretical aspect of music at the same time. The point I'm trying to make here is that after I made my decision to give 1 hour to music every day, I had to adhere to it and make sure that I gave it the full 1 hour to practice my guitar every day. If you lack self-discipline, then you can't even start talking about time management, because discipline is very crucial when it comes to time management. There's this critical problem that people find difficult to do away with: procrastination. Procrastination. This is just an act of postponement due to behavioral carelessness or laziness. I don't know how many of us have this challenge, but I personally am guilty of this behavior at some points in time. There is more to say on this, but to make things work out, this is what I usually do to overcome it. Anytime I plan anything, I simply stand up and start doing it once the time is due, without any hesitation. Sometimes many excuses tend to come up to distract one from carrying out his plan for that particular moment. But the simple way to deal with such situation is just to stand up. Simply stand up and get ahead with what you have to do on your plan. Excuse is another entirely different problem that chops into time management. It is not something we can exhaust in a short period of time, or maybe in just a short message or what have you. But as such, let me just say one or two words about it. As with time, we will get to talk elaborately on them in another webinar. But for now, just know that excuse is very dangerous, and you should try to run away from it in any situation, because it can make you justify all your negative behaviors while this keep going and leaves you with no significant progress in your plan. Know this, excuse will always ruin you of what ordinarily you could have been able to achieve. But excuse will keep on coming your way to just distract you from achieving those things. And I will want us to know that without taking notes of all these important aspects, you dare not think you will be successful by just living without a plan. Because any successful person you see out there have not gotten there by luck, but rather they intentionally got themselves there by being conscious of their plans, decisions, and actions. We should not be deceived by what most people say, that time is wealth. The truth is that time is not wealth. If time were to be wealth, then all people that are at the same age with Jeff Bezos would have been as wealthy as he is. But the fact that time is not wealth too does not mean that time is not important. Don't misunderstand me, okay? So time is very, very, very important. It's very important. In fact, it is one of the most valuable and precious resources in history. Don't worry, we will get to understand it better during the course of our coming webinars. Just stay in touch with Achievers Bridge, and I assure you that before the year runs out, you will be bold enough to make some great attempts that you have never made before. And as we will break down a lot of important principles, so as we can understand and apply them better, rather than just being in a haste to give you guys everything at once. Because one of the things that makes people not succeed is this rushing mindset. This is the easiest way to failure. That's it. Because anytime you think of rushing things, then failure is just at your doorstep. Rushing mindset is also a topic we can't afford to skip. When the time comes, we will talk about it deeply, so that we will get to understand more about this rushing mindset. It's a very dangerous factor that can lead one to failure. So with all these scenarios, I believe we all have a better knowledge on how to utilize our time productively. Okay, so now coming to the last point, which is relax. Okay, so now what do I mean by relax? Relax. When you move around, if you hear somebody saying relax, what comes to your mind first of all? Now, I have come across a lot of people that tend to confuse hard work or time management with overstressing themselves unnecessarily. As far as I'm concerned, and as far as the truth is, any time management or any time management plan that does not have room for relaxing or rest is completely very wrong. Our body systems are programmed in such a way that it needs rest and refreshment in order to continue functioning well. I have seen a lot of students and even businessmen saying things like, "Oh, my head is hot. I need to rest before I can continue later or tomorrow or another time." As the case may be, I also have such moments. Therefore, I have my own time to rest and then refresh my brain and muscles so as to function well, or else my productivity will be very, 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 very low compared to how it should be. This applies to each and everyone. Therefore, as we make our plans in order to beat up with time, we should also include in our plan the time to relax. If I say relax, I mean rest. Hello, once again, great minds. Our time, this time management is very important. So I will want us to really go through it and then try to understand it very well. And I'm very sure we have learned a lot in this message. Okay, and we are going to stop this here, and then we will continue at subsequent times, so that we will look into things that are very paramount when it comes to life principles. And please, just as the team advocate on helping each other become the best of what they can be, that's Achievers Bridge, you also play your own part by trying to see how we can be able to make others get in touch with Achievers Bridge, so they can also come and learn important principles that can help them out. Because one important thing in this life is that your success is measured based on the number of people you have helped and based on the number of people you have channeled to the right way they can be able to reach out to achieving their dreams. So once again, thank you very much. We meet some other time. Bye bye. Have a great